Performing the World is a growing community of people looking for or experimenting with positive social change efforts that contribute to a more peaceful, democratic, and equitable world. Many hundreds of them participate in what is now an annual gathering, conference, showcase, as well as an ongoing movement. Most of the presenters at PTW events are innovators approaching play, performance, and the arts as creative and positive ways of engaging social problems, activating communities, and experimenting with new social and political possibilities. They are interested in not simply protesting what we're against, but creating what we need and want on the ground. The focus of Performing the World is on performance activism, on new ways of creating power through play and performance. Performing the World was initiated by the East Side Institute as an in-person conference in 2001 and continued as a physical get-together in New York until 2020, when the COVID pandemic forced it online. While the intimacy of being in the same space was lost, going online opened PTW to new people who didn't have money to fly to New York or who lived in countries that the US denied visas to. Zoom does away with airline tickets and national borders. More grassroots organizers and people from a wider range of nations were able to participate. Last year, we introduced watch parties. People who had registered to PTW invited family, friends, students, colleagues to get together in schools, community centers, libraries, and homes to watch a session together and talk about it afterwards. Thus, PTW opened up even more and became a hybrid activity, combining Zoom and personal interaction. For more information and to join the community Performing the World, you can visit www.performingtheworld.org or Eastside Institute, www.eastsideinstitute.org. Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are zooming in from. Welcome back or welcome your first time to Performing the World 2024, Create the Power. Give yourselves a Zoom round of applause. Yes, thank you so much. It's so lovely to see everyone. If you have been here with us all 4 days, like this is your 4th day with us, put a 4 into the chat. Oh, look at all these 4 warriors. They rode this Creating the Power train all the way to the last stop. And if you've been here with us for 3 days, put a 3 into the chat. Nice, we got a couple of 3s. If you've been here for 2 days, if you came to Performing the World for 2 days, put a 2 into the chat. And if this is your first day with us, you can put a 1 into the chat. Wow, amazing. Thank you so much for all of the support. Thank you so much to everyone who showed up here for us. Whether you're 1, whether you're 2, a 3, or a 4, you are greatly appreciated. Over the last 3 days, we've had some amazing presentations, everything from Music is Power, Playing for Change Returns, to Creating the Power in India, Say It Beautifully, Controlling with Strangers, Angela Miramonte in Italy, to Controlling Shifts, Reclaiming the History of Filipino People with Abigail and crew. Yesterday, we challenged the gender violence with Sanjay and Tamana in India, followed by the Freedom Theater of South Africa sharing their work. And we ended it off with some Creating Our Mental Health. Today is our 4th day, and today is our last day, and we're going to start off real strong. We're going somewhere where it's real hot, Africa. Bringing to the Creating the Power, Performing the World, Creating the Power stage is none other than Creating the Power on the streets of Nairobi. And before we start that, they would just like to play a little video before they come to the stage.
Kupigwa na kupokonywa maisha, hakutatuzuia sisi wananchi kunyakua uhuru wetu. Haki ya jasho letu, haki ya jasho letu. Tumekataa kupiga magoti mbele ya hawa wauaji. Bila shaka pia si ni watu, hali ya utumwa tumekataa, hali ya utumwa tumekataa. Tutanyakua mashamba yetu, tupiganie uhuru wetu, tuikomboe elimu yetu, utamaduni na viwanda vyetu, utamaduni na viwanda vyetu. Sisi hatutaki kudhulumiwa, hatutaki tena mauaji, ili kupe tuliangushe, haki na uhuru zichanue, haki na uhuru zichanue, uhuru wetu wa Kenya.
But I think there's another underlying reason that has undermined the global fight against poverty. That's violence and lack of compassion for fellow human beings.
Nataka ile tribe ndogo tukue kama wale wengi.
Kenya ninazokuona ni Kenya enye politician hatatumia vijana kuhavizwe, atatumia vijana kucreate a way.
Sisi kama walemavu tupate yale ambayo wengine wanapata.
Kenya enye vijana hawaangushwi, hawakui victimized.
It's a just country. We want a country where there is respect for the rule of law, and there is the trust that when a child is born, we'll have a full life which is full of dignity.
Joining me on the Performing the World stage, Brian.
Thank you, Desire, and we are very humbled and honored to feature in this year series of Performing the World. With me today is a couple of my comrades who have come from the organization. With me is Njeri from the Mathare Social Justice Center, who will also be coming in shortly. We also have representatives and my good comrades from the Social Justice Center Traveling Theatre, who I think David Safari, Minoo Kyaa, and Anthony Mayer, who also have vast knowledge in terms and experience in terms of organizing through theater and generally art, and of course espousing the role of art in the liberation struggles and as an organizational tactic. So first of all is to send our solidarity to comrades who are joining us today, and most particularly to note the assassination of the Hezbollah general, and to note that it's time that it's time that we unite, internationally, and this is when international solidarity is most dear. And I think that is to be realized through organizing forums like this, and of course, connecting our struggles, various struggles, as the struggles against imperialism, and of course, the establishment in our local, in our local countries. So, comrades, also receive our greetings from the organization here in Kenya and from comrades in Kenya. First is to note that the history of the Kenyan struggles, and especially what has been, the recent protest that, of course, threatened, and of course, will also continue to threaten the oppressive power that is built in our country since, it's a history that has been repeating itself. It has been a history of struggle. So the social justice struggles, the recent protests, which also brought about various political developments, and especially that to note that they were unique, they were peculiar in the sense that for the first time they have been organized by young people who have been perceived as apolitical before, but within the consecutive struggles that we have witnessed, we have seen the role of young people being the pillars and the drivers of such processes. So the recent protest also had a cry or of course a demand for social change, for social justice, meaning that from its origin, the finance protest, which also stemmed as a constitutional reform. As a constitutional reform process, eventually go to, it became, it transformed into a massive force that, not only the question of the scrap of the retrogressive finance bill, but now even more advanced to struggles for survival, struggle for living, struggle for housing, better education, the struggle against poverty generally. And that was witnessed, witnessed behind. But also those struggles also gain their identity and their form from the struggles that have been experienced even before, since the struggles against slavery to the struggles against colonialism, and now the struggles against the establishments that that continue to increase the inequality against the Kenyan masses. So so that is the history of struggle and the history of oppression. Kenya first gained independence from British colonialism in 1963, but it's what I think has been popularly identified as flag independence, where major monopoly capitals and the shares of land and such historical injustices still continue being perpetrated to date by their agents, and of course the former colonizers. So so since independence, we have been having successive regimes which have been also which have also been trying to which have also been trying to regroup so that they can protect their interests. And that brings a certain kind of inequality, whereby we have some people who are filthy rich, while a majority of the population is anguishing in poverty, and that inequality becomes very glaring. So we have to achieve a society of social justice, we have believed that of course we must be established where our people are, are experiencing the realization, are experiencing the crude form of oppression. So the social justice centers have come as an agent where the community has an avenue to organize and air out their major concerns. So to go back at it, the recent protests which have hit headlines have also been trying to address and affirm the question of social justice and the immediate concerns of the Kenyan masses. So, well, that is said, I think we have also identified with the international solidarity campaigns, such as the Black Lives Matter campaign, which also expresses these questions and the question of oppression and apart from the racial segregation, the fact that we have people within the establishment, even the local establishment, who are continuing to further the question of inequality. So we have also the Social Justice Center have been established in major informal settlements, including Mathare, Kayole, Githurai, and such. And you find that in these villages and neighborhoods, these were majority of the oppressed masses are found. This is where we have the youthful generation, and these ones are the major political, the major political zones where the masses are found. So that being the case, the Social Justice Center also has identified the missing, the missing link, and of course the gap in the human rights question, and that's the naming itself, the Social Justice Center, the social justice and not human rights. And you realize that apart from being founded and established within these informal settlements, the naming itself also transits the conversation and advances the conversation even within the neighborhoods to organizing power from below and of course by the majority. So that being said, I mean we have also seen that creating a unified connection, a collective pool, also would would ease the quest for social justice and achieve the basic demands by the people. So we have formed an umbrella within Nairobi, within the jurisdiction of Nairobi, and we have had these social justice coming together and their organs and committees. And from that point, the movement now builds, from the network, from the solidarity network, and it's quite observant that also majority of the issues within the informal settlements are probably very unique and also similar. So going forward is that a question that also came very outrightly from the recent protests and the continuing quest and organization is that from the policy itself, this when the interference, foreign interference, seemed also to be, to be so evident with, from imposition of from the imposition of IMF backed, IMF and international bodies backed policies, which would also be harsh economically, despite the ongoing economic hardship that the Kenyan people and the Kenyan masses are going through. And since the struggles, the struggles that we have experienced, especially the young generation, the political realm has been, has been dominated by a few people who try to use the tribal, to use the tribal card and the tribal tactic to divide and, of course, continue hardening the grip, their grip on power, where the masses divide and then they can cleverly, maneuver through and continue retaining power. But this time, I think, with the developments, with the recent developments, I think the contemporary world is changing, and Kenya is, Kenya is also experiencing, a shift, a radical shift in, in that angle, where you find that the Kenyan youth are united by, under one banner and under similar agendas and for the same cause, without, without the discussion about tribes And, that also is a major development in terms of the Kenyan politics. And coming in will also be our comrades who have also been using various tactics. And of course, now the question of the organization of social justice and how it interlinks with other mass organizations and political organizations will be dwelt further by my comrades who practically will be expressing on on how the organization looks like and the various kind of tactics and strategies that we employ in terms of reaching the masses. Lastly, I will also I want to highlight the question of police brutality that also is was very rampant, continues being rampant, and the kind of force, and that only meant the kind of fear and intimidation that the state also uses against organizers globally. So I think the solutions to this will be genuine and international solidarity, at its practical sense. And of course, there will be need for social movements and progressives to unite in these times, and of course, actualize solidarity so that we can also build self-reliance within these social movements, and of course, continue to familiarize with each other's struggles. So, comrades, I will want to leave it at that, and I hope we continue interacting. So I think we will move on to the next speaker. Thank you all for your contributions.
Thank you so much, Comrade Brian, and greetings all. My name is Njeri from Mathare Social Justice Center. First of all, I will want to give a little introduction to the song that played when we started. It's called The Song of the Struggle. I think for us here, most of them will, I think when it's a church, it's called Wimbo wa Mapambano. I think it will be shared. It's our song of the struggle. We sing it mostly to psych ourselves up, but also it's the songs that has documented the struggle of the Kenyan people from way back after independence. And it's a song that still encourage everyone who's fighting to gain their country back and rebuild it. And it was a vital song during this uprising, Gen Z uprising in the country, because it's a significant song. Well, people are out in the streets and fighting for their country back. So that's it. I think at the end of the presentations by the traveling theater, we will still also get a chance to listen to it again. And this time, okay, because we all know it's the song of the struggle, we can try sing along. So yeah, as I started, I said I'm from Mathare Social Justice Center. Mathare is a community-based organization in Mathare. Mathare is one of the informal settlements here in Nairobi, the working class area, where us young people are trying to organize so that we can get meaningful engagement, political engagement in our country, and also trying to change things that have been normalized for the longest time in our country. Mathare Social Justice Center is also a hub for movement building. It's the first social justice center in the country, but also it has sparked and inspired other young people to start social justice centers where people can speak about social justice, different issues in their community, and try to figure out solutions. Because one thing that we believe that we have the change, we have the solutions to our problems. So if we start tackling our problems from grassroots up, we can make so much change. So these are grassroots organizations where basic people from those communities come together, discuss about their issues, and discuss how do they figure out their way out. And also that's one way of giving people their own agent, so that they can be meaningful in the community and so that they can take a critical part in the political environment of the country. So one of the ways that we organize it's through art, art for social change. That the traveling theatre will speak much to, but in Mathare we have dwelt so much with using graffiti and traditional cultural dance by the teenage mothers, because that is what relates to most of the people in Mathare. We also use that as a soft power to reach so much audience in the community, but also as a soft way to try and educate our own community of the different things that go on in our own community. So through Mathare Social Justice Center, we now have the social justice movement, Nairobi chapter that Brian was talking about, that brings about social justice center in every informal settlements in Nairobi, and young people most importantly. And at that level, we are also able to discuss the different issues at the Nairobi level. From now, the communities to Nairobi as a seat, and also figure out how can we bring about change? How can we have a city that we are all proud in belonging in, a city that we are all happy to live in? Because for the longest time, and because of I think police brutality that I think is a matter in every informal settlement in the country, we have come together to come up with different ways of handling and dealing with that. And one of the ways has been proper documentation and protest in the city. And one of the protests that we usually mark as the social justice working group Nairobi chapter is the Sabasaba March for Our Lives, which is a march that brings about people from all these informal settlements that have been victims of police and state brutality together to march against those brutalities. And we have seen some level of change, but also we know that these things cannot change if we don't have systematic changes. Most of you are aware of what happened recently. We lost more than 70 young people to the protests. And basically what these young people were saying is we want our country back. We want an end to corruption. We want an end to bad governance. And how this state response to the young people who demands were, we want better for our country, was killing them down. So for sure, we know we cannot end this unless we have we have systematic change, and that's why we want to make sure we educate and organize everyone that we can reach in our settlements and also in Nairobi to join us. And one of the powerful tools that we have used has been art and traveling theaters. The traveling theater group has been very instrumental. It has shown us a light. It is our torch that helps us illuminate, because it's a soft power to use in our different communities. And these are people from the communities. People know them and they can relate to these issues and provide a platform for discussion. And with that, I want to welcome Minoo Kyaa from the Traveling Theatre.
Everyone, thank you very much, Njeri, for that presentation. I would like to start by saying I am very, very humbled actually to be here. Sorry, my light is. I am very humbled to be here. My name is Minoo Kyaa from the Social Justice Center's Traveling Theatre. The Social Justice Center's Traveling Theatre is like a wheel of the movement. So it's an organ within the movement that Njeri has just talked about, and Brian has also talked about. So the traveling theatre uses different forms of art to advocate for social change, and also to sensitize the masses, the people, about their rights. So we use both stage performance and street performance to, to educate the people. But most of our stage performances are based on things like books, and maybe celebrating important days like let's say the International Working Women's Day or Pan-African Women's Day. But our favorites are the street performances, because the street performances now gets to go to the masses. It gets to go to where the people are. We go to churches, we go to the markets, we go to the buses, and trying to use art to educate the people. And most of them are based on invisible performances. So we will be performing, but people do not know that we are performing. So it creates some kind of conversation within the community. So this is also to try and let the people to fight for their own rights. It's not like a these we are creating the power comes in. So we try to create the power in the people so that they are able to come out and fight for themselves and own their own problems. And we also use this to recruit members of the community to different social justice centers. As Njeri has said, we have different social justice centers within Nairobi that are mostly based in informal settlements. And most of the people in informal settlements, that is where most oppression happens, and that is where most of the people do not know their rights. So we go around educating people about their constitutional rights. Here in Kenya, we have a very beautiful constitution, especially on basic human rights needs. For example, we have right to water, right to housing, right to education, all these rights. But then again, you find that we have very bad housing. We do not have water connection. There's no sanitation. Education has become very expensive. So that is where the traveling theater comes in, and tries to do invisible performances in different streets of Nairobi. Trying to educate the people about their rights and making them own up their problems so that they are able to fight for their own rights. And also, we also use this to recruit different members of the community to the social justice movement, because we believe in unity we are able to fight together. And the recent uprising that happened in Kenya, I believe most of you might have seen about it. We have been going around to the streets telling people why we really need to demonstrate, going to the markets, putting a performance, and then people just come and they contribute to these performances. We will be having a slide, and Anthony Mayer will be helping me with that. But just before that, I would like to say that we also use theater to document the history of Kenya, because we have to understand where we are coming from to know where we are going to be able to fight for our rights. So yes, we use this to document, for example, there are important days like Kemadi Day. Kemadi Day is the what is a freedom fighter. Is a freedom fighter from the Mau Mau movement that fought against colonialism. We also try to incorporate murals. These are like chalking walls where we do murals, and then they stick there, and then when people are passing around, they just see it, and they are able to remember their history, or even just understand their constitutional rights. We have also tried to incorporate music, poetry, and dance in our performances. Yes, so I think I will start the slide. So Maya, kindly, if you can help me with the slide presentation. Let's move to the next slide, Maya. Hello, Anthony. Yes, for example, you can see 16 days of activism. We celebrate 16 days of activism here in Kenya. And these photos that we are seeing here is something that it's like, talking photos so that we can, stop gender-based violence. And this is one of our street performances that we are seeing there. We also use, those are police uniforms, so that the community is able to engage fully. And we have also done some on abnormal democracy. Yes, this is a market space, the one that started performing in activities, organizations by the social movement, but later realized that taking our performances to the streets. So you can see most of our street performances, and people are gathered watching. And then there is also something that we do that is like a facilitation. So there is someone who is at the crowd, but is our member, who is doing a facilitation and asking the people questions and all that. And getting feedbacks from the community is always one of the best things, and communities get to learn from us. Mayor, please kindly let's move. Yeah, so these are some of the photos from our performances. And the best thing about theater is because we deal with all these issues, whether it's gender-based violence, police brutality, it's environmental injustices, all these kind of injustices we go. But most of our performances are also informed by, Mayor, if you can just stick there tusimame hapo kidogo. So most of our performances are also informed by something that we call a reke visit. So these reke visits are where we go to the community to find out about their immediate problem, so that we do not come to your community with issues of police brutality and then we are facing issues of water. So reke visits are the one that inform most of our most of our street performances, market performances, and even bus performances. Mayor, let's move. Yeah, we also do something that is called book reading. This is Matigare Book Reading Cafe. So we learn about our history, we learn about our current situations, so that we are able, to speak to the community truthfully. For example, we need to learn our history so that we are able to speak to the community. And we also need to keep sharpening our ideology every other time. We do this in collaboration with different organizations, sometimes NGOs, sometimes just ourselves. Yeah, so and we also invite members of the community, members of the social movement, so that we can come and read together and understand where we are coming from. This one was an intergenerational conversation. So here in Kenya, we have a rich history. We have a rich history on using art and using art, theater, I mean all forms of art, to advocate for social change. I mean, since colonialism, we had these musics, and then we came to, there's something that was called Kameredo People's Theater. It was done by Ngugi wa Thiongo. If any of you knows him, he's a freedom fighter from Kenya. He's now in exile, not living in Kenya. But we have learned a lot from the previous theaters that were there. There are some that fought for the constitution that we have now. There's this theater that was called 5Cs. It was going around preaching about how the constitution will benefit us and all that. And then we passed the new constitution. But then again, the implementation of the constitution has been the problem. So it has been passed to the next generation. These are comrades from the Kameredo Theater. And then it has been passed to our generation. So we are fighting for the implementation of the constitution. Yes, these are some of our stage performances where we were fighting for equality. We have done some called Missing Voices. There's been many cases of abduction and enforced disappearance in Kenya. So we do these performances to educate the community that we all have the right to life, which is our constitutional right. Yeah, this was also a festival that we organized, maybe Tafari. Tafari?
Yes, Minoo.
Yeah, maybe Tafari could talk about the Kiwake festival.
Yeah, this is not Tafari, this is Maya. I'm sorry, I'm joining in using a different device because the device that I was using actually had I have a problem with it accessing its mic, but I will just use this one. I hope everyone can hear me. Hello, everyone. My name is Anthony, one of the creative directors in the Social Justice Center's Traveling Theatre, and I'll just take it up from where Minoo has left. Yes, these right here are photos of an event that we did titled Kiwake Festival. As you can see, so Kiwake Festival basically means to ignite. It's a Swahili word. Kiwake is a Swahili word that means ignite, and we were using this kind of an event to at least try and amplify people's voices and to try and educate and to urge the community to continue to protect the constitution, because constitution is the supreme law of our country, and it needs to be protected and to be followed to the latter. So every year we try and at least during on the 27th of on the 27th of every you can help me from that last month. That was
it was August 27th of August. The Constitution was getting 14 years. Yeah.
Thank you, Minoo. Thank you very much. On the 27th of August every year, we celebrate the inauguration of the Constitution in our country. And as the Social Justice Traveling Theatre is an art institution, we also try to bring artists together from different communities around Nairobi to try and talk about this particular document, this particular supreme law of our country, which we believe should be guided because should be protected by all means. And that is why we have such events and more other events that we try to bring people together, bring the community together to have conversations around the constitution, around how laws are made, how laws actually affect our daily lives. And this was one of the festivals that we did earlier last month. Late last month on the 27th. And it was one of a kind where people came together to speak about our constitutional gains since its promulgation in 2010. Yes, I'll just continue from there. So we also have, as the Social Justice Center's Traveling Theatre, we have issues that we are concerned in. And one of those issues are issues to do with inequality, where we highlight disparities based on race, gender, sexuality, ability, and social economic status, and many others. So we try to at least talk about equality and try to rally people to actually uphold equality in their various spaces, be it workspaces, be it schools, be it any institution that people work in. We also speak on matters to do with sexual and reproductive health rights, where we advocate for equitable access to healthcare services to all and addressing disparities and health concerns. As you can see, these are some of the photos of that we've had highlighting gender equality, and mostly highlighting based violence, which is it takes place in most of the household, especially here in. Yeah, we are also concerned in the matters to do with environmental justice. So we have environmental concerns and the impact of climate change, especially on marginalized communities. And at least we try to visit schools, visit institutions, to try about environmental justice. Every when you're celebrating environmental, go and
Hey, Anthony, we can't hear you. Maybe try turning off your video. Anthony Minoo, can someone pick it up?
Yes, sorry, just before Anthony comes back, as we have seen from those photos, we try to make it really a reality to the community so that the community can see these injustices for themselves and they are able to speak up. So, and also the best thing about theater is because it goes to where the people are. You do not need to, the street performances, they go to where the people are. You don't need to come to a room to come and watch us. You are just at the market and then we are there doing our plays. You are at the bus, we are there doing our plays and still educating the masses. So that is the best thing about theater, because this thing of calling people to a hall so that they can watch something and all that, here in Kenya it takes a lot of time and you have to also give money. So if you're not giving that, it's so yeah, that is the best thing about it. And also the thing about documenting history. I don't know if Mayor, you can go to the slide where we did the Muranga women's strike. Yeah, so we did a play that document. We have done lots of them, but this one was very impactful because it is a struggle that happened between 1940. Yeah, this one's, yes, Mayor. It was a struggle that happened between 1948 and 1950 that also led to the state of emergency that happened in Kenya in 1952. And the history of women has been, we all know it has been erased in most of our history and all that. So we documented the story of these women who fought for their liberation, who fought against terracing the colonial lands and all that. And they did it consistently for 2 years. And many of them were killed. And a lot of people did not know about this. So we did this performance during the Pan-African Women's Day, just to educate the people about, the history of our women. We have also done some on there's another one on Kimathi Day where we try to educate the people on what happened to this great hero called Kimathi that was fighting for our liberation, was very tactical, and was later hanged, and he was hanged and buried at a community prison. So there's a prison here in Kenya called Community Prison, and we have never found him. So they hanged him and buried him there. Yes, and we have also, Mayor, if you can go to the award, we have also won the Human Rights Award for the great work of using the art to educate the people, because we have managed to recruit so many people into the movement just using art. I think I'll pass it back to you. Sorry.
Going back to
Yes,
to you.
Minoo. Thank you.
Sorry.
Minoo.
Yes, Maya,
Yes,
if you
thank
have anything to say, I think that's all for me.
I don't think I have much to put, to add on whatever you say, because you've put everything perfectly fine the way this is supposed. But just to add that the journey to the social centers traveling theater has been a journey that is work on trying to communities, various communities, trying to talk to them and trying to uh, actually convince them that they can talk, they can stand up and talk about they can actually fight. Most of the time when we go to these communities, we tell them that we are not saviors. We are just here to at least pave the way on or give that platform where people can be able, or the community can be able to amplify their voices. So as our motto suggests, our motto is liberation through art, because we believe that we cannot liberate the people, and the people themselves are the ones who can liberate, people are the ones who can liberate themselves. So for us is to just go and pave that way to justice, pave that way to give amplify voices for the communities, and now give that mantle now back to the community again, for them to be able to speak up and fight for their rights in the quest for the fight for social justice. So I think that is all from the Social Justice Center's Traveling Theatre and the Social Justice Center's movement. I think I can give it back to Brian. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you very much, comrades, for your. I'm a little bit short. Okay. Thank you, comrades, for your presentations, and I think I will also love to express our gratitude to the participants who I think there is much that probably will have shared. The most unique thing is that the most distinguishing the fact is that the social justice movement is one model or one of the models of urban organizations, and especially those who are, the movement, a movement that is built, from below, and especially in the slums, in the grassroots, bearing the same experiences, and the same dynamics of urban organizing. That being said, we have also been trying to, to achieve solidarity, and especially collaboration with with other institutions and organizations who are running progressive politics in the rural in the rural setup. So apart from the rural setup, is that we have also, I think someone in the chat has mentioned that a global solidarity, and I think it's one of the solutions of the glaring crisis, political crisis, and the economic turmoil that we are going through. And I think a specific factor is the continued learning, and I think that one is our great experience, and learning from all realities that surround you, including books, the struggles that other people are going through. And I think that one is, that one is coming out very clearly in the conversation. I am not sure whether now these are the points to also pass the mic back to Des, but I think if you can confirm me, no, Davis is supposed to be
Hey,
Davis is supposed.
Hey, Brian,
Yes,
right now you guys
yes.
can open up for questions or open
Yes.
discussion, whatever you would like to do.
Yes, that is what I thought. But if we still have some minutes, I'm not sure whether Davis is part of the participants, either Davis or Winnie. If there's something that they might mention, just very fast.
Viva comrades, viva. My name is Otien, a member of Mathare Social Justice Center. I coordinate the Teen Moms campaign. This is a campaign whereby it brought all the teenage mothers together after the community had neglected them due to ways in which they got pregnant. So in the Teen Mom campaign, we do sessions on sexual reproductive health, menstrual health, hygiene, and also we document cases on sexual and gender-based violence. So in Kenya, menstrual poverty is a big issue that is not highly highlighted in each and every way that is supposed to be highlighted. Most of the teenage pregnancies get pregnant due to menstrual poverty. You find that a girl skips school. When a girl is menstruating, is forced to skip school 3 days a month or 3 days a week, adding to 84 days yearly, which leads the girl to school dropout, early marriages, and also finds themselves engaging in sexual and in domestic violence cases. So we created a safe space for teen moms whereby they can find a space where they can speak themselves out, no way forward after which they've given birth at their tender age. You find we've been documenting cases on teenage pregnancies and most of them came out as a result of menstrual poverty. Find that most of the girls were forced to sleep with men twice their age to afford a sanitary towel. And you find that now the sanitary towel prices have risen up. The government does not speak about these issues, but all it does is to point fingers that young women don't want to go their good ways, but these are issues that are supposed to be addressed. These sanitary towels and menstrual health hygiene is an issue that is supposed to become a basic issue in our country, that because it's highly affecting our future leaders as women. So through this program of teenage mothers, we do a traditional dance as a way of advocacy in our community. We do it's also as a way of economic empowering activity, whereby they go perform in events and they get paid, also as a sustainability activity. They also do beadwork, where they do it as also as economic empowering activity, and also they do it as debriefing activity. When they do beadwork, that's where they speak out their issues. They get time to share whatever thing they're going through together. And we also do football, whereby depending on events like 16 days of activism, we engage with other teen moms in Nairobi. We do tournament, and that is where our advocacy is enabled to go and spread our messages way much higher. But this just to urge all the organizations that are organizing within Africa, that teenage mothers are very are supposed to be embraced in our community. Yeah. So I've finished.
Okay. Thank you.
Now might be a good time to open it up for conversation, questions from our 70 participants.
And people could use the raise their hand function. People could write in the chat, whatever they would like to do. We have a question from Jesse Fields out of Harlem, New York.
I didn't really have a question. I just wanted to thank the presenters and for all the activism that you're doing in Kenya and using the arts, and it was so moving to hear about it and learn about it, and we give our support for all of the work that you're doing, and really appreciated all the presentations. And Winnie, what you said, speaking about sanitary towels and hygiene, I thought that was so important to have that in the conversation. So I just wanted our solidarity to your work, to give you that, and we really appreciate the work that you're doing. Thank you so much. And we want to keep making the connections, international connections around the world. Create the power. Thank you.
We have another question or comment, zooming in all the way from South Africa, Sissy Goolhouse.
Yeah. Sorry, our camera's not working, but you can hear us. So there's Tsvagmida here from Sissy Goolhouse. I was listening to Njeri, or not the lady, the coordinator of the theater, the traveling theater. Most of the plays are based on what is happening, the inequalities and unjust of the cities and all of that. So my question was, she said something about the implementation of the constitution. Does Kenya not have a constitution as yet? That's the one question. And I also want to say on the traveling theatre, I love what you are doing and dramatizing all of these the injustices of Kenya and bringing your story over in this matter. I'm hoping that you come to South Africa too to showcase all of these here at Sissi House. Thank you.
The question that was being asked, I think it's a great invitation, but they were also asking about the Constitution of Kenya. You do have a constitution, right? And what you're doing is fighting to try to make it real. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, we do have a constitution that actually, as I mentioned, it's a very, very beautiful inside. You know, it talks about all these rights to food, right to housing, right to education, you know, right to life, you know, your rights as an arrested person and all that. But then again, the problem comes in with the implementation of it. So most of the people in the informal settlement do not know that they have the right to water. They do not know that they have the right to education. So that is where the traveling theatre comes in, to educate the masses about all these their rights so that they are able to fight for their rights. And you know, the implementation of the constitution needs a mass movement. So we also try to recruit these members of the community to the Social Justice Center so that we are able to fight together.
Thank you. Rita, you're next.
Thank you. Minoo and everybody, I'm calling from Nigeria, so our struggles are very similar, and I truly appreciate the work that you're doing. In Nigeria, I run an organization called Street Project Foundation, and we're running a movement that's very similar to the work that you're doing called Arts Vocacy. And when I see your traveling theater, one of the things I think about, because I also have to think about it here, is sustainability. A lot of the work that we do in Nigeria is funded by the West for development that is required for our own country and for our own people. And so I'm quite inquisitive to find out, or curious to find out, how this movement is being sustained and supported for all this while. Well done.
I think I can take up that question, and thank you. Sorry, also it's raining and I'm having also trouble again with my camera. So I think I agree with you. Sustainability is a key thing, and also a matter that even beyond the theatre and the social justice movement, even in the individual organizations that form part of the social justice movement are grappling with, because sometimes even when we are doing things that we know we really need our community to change, and also these things are very much political, we will need some resources. So one of the things that we have done, and I'm taking this opportunity to maybe request you, we as the social justice movement, Organic Intellectuals, we have written a book on silences on NGOs discourse that try to give our experiences with funding and organizing. Maybe I would urge you all to read that book. It's our reflection. Brian has written, Minoo has written, and I have written, and I think Davis too. But also we are trying to come up with mechanisms that are very much sustainable. So like theatre, they mostly fund most of their recce visits. With the movements we are trying, we have a women league that is very much trying to do sustainable table banking, and that tries also. It does not fund the movement fully, but with things that maybe the NGO world will say we cannot fund this because it's too political. the women will come on front and fund that because they have this rapid response. But among other things that we are trying to see that can sustain ourselves, but also we are in a place where as a movement, we are trying to see other alternatives where we can make sure that we explore to make sure we sustain ourselves. But it has not been easy. We, like the theater, most of the time it has to travel. And there's cost and resources to that. And sometimes they're not able to do that because they don't have enough money or they don't have money to do that. So sometimes we also open it up to comrades who share this vision with us and know our struggle for fundraising. And we most of the times to us to sustain our activities and the events, we do a lot of fundraisers for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, just to add on that, what Njeri has said, actually most of our street performances are never ever funded because you go to the people and all that, and most of the NGOs will not, fund this kind of activities. So what we try to do is also we try to sell some merchandise, like for example our t-shirts, some water bottles, and then something else that we do is we try to do savings from the performances that we get paid from. For example, if an organization calls us to do a performance and then they pay us, we try to, do like real savings so that we are able to do our street performances, which are more impactful. There was also another question at the chat where someone asked, what do I mean by exactly invisible performances? So invisible performances is where you are performing, but the community, let's say it's in a market. So you just start a conversation with someone and then you're performing, you're like quarreling, or let's say, for example, it's the issue of police brutality. We have these police uniforms and all that, but not the real ones. For sure, it's just a costume for the theater. So the community will believe these are police harassing these people. And then there's someone at the crowd who will be shouting, who is one of us, but the community do not understand that they are one of us. So they will just start shouting and all that, create a commotion, and then the whole market will be discussing about police brutality and all that. So that is what we do. But at the end of it all, we tell the people that this was a performance and you have these rights and these rights and these rights. These invisible performances, we create them to make the community to be able to, come up with solutions to their own problems. We are not, like Maya said, you're not messiahs, we're not coming to save you and all that. So what is the solution to the water crisis? And then a facilitator will say, we have a constitution that does this and this and this and this, but the people do not know that we are actually performing. So that is what we mean by invisible performances.
Thank you. Lois, you're next in line.
Thank you all. So inspiring and creative and holistic. I had two questions. One, you sort of answered with the book and perhaps with the t-shirts and other merchandise, but I would love for you to tell us how we can help in addition to our spirit of solidarity. And the second question is, I'm so curious about how each of you got involved and where you came from. So whoever wants to speak to that, I would love it.
Sorry, I didn't get the last question.
Oh, how did you get involved?
How did you get involved in politics?
Yeah, so how do you get involved in the art or in the movement? Because we have different social justice centers in the movement.
Yes.
From being a child and growing up and where you are right now in your life, how did you make that decision to do what you're doing?
Oh, okay. So so most of us actually come from informal settlements in Nairobi. We have some that do not come from informal settlement, but most of us do come from informal settlements. So Njeri was talking about the Sabasaba March for Our Lives. That is when we started uniting the movement. So we have grown up in this watching all this kind of poverty, from police brutality to lack of water to lack of education. And then some of us also went to school. You graduate, you come out here, there's no employment, there's nothing. And then you meet people who you are, like-minded, who you think the same. So like, why are there no jobs? And then there's a constitution here that guarantees you right to employment and all that. So I think Njeri and maybe Brian and maybe Maya can add into that. But most of us come from real experiences. Like, we come from these informal settlements. We have watched all these injustices happen. So we just want a better community. Maybe Njeri and Brian can
Thank
add.
you. Thank you, Minoo. I think, but first of all, I want to say, for sure, we should explore. I saw one of the comments, people asking if we are selling t-shirts online. I think we should explore that. We're selling them locally. But personally, how I got involved into the social justice movement and recruitment at Mathare Social Justice Center. Mathare is the unit, the community organizing center in my community, Mathare. And why I was intrigued, I think this is immediately after high school, when I finished my high school. And I was volunteering in the community. And there were these people who were teaching people about their rights. And most so, I think then it was documentation of cases of young people who had been killed by the state. And then I was very bitter because I could, my uncle, my favorite uncle, like the last born of the family, was murdered by the state. And this was the uncle that everyone in the family could go to. And he was killed by our police because they had a difference, not because he was wrong or he was a murderer. So I could relate to, and I think, like so many people in our community who joined Mathare Social Justice, I think for me, I joined for the quest of our uncle's justice. And that's how my mom was able to protect the movement, and also my aunties. So that's how I was able to join the movement.
Thank you.
Brian?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, interesting. Thanks, comrade. And first and foremost is let me first confirm that this Lois Holtzman is the one author of unscientific psychology. I think something like that. I've not interacted with it, but it's an honor, of course, to me. Yeah, thank you. And I will probably on your first questions, because I think there is what we call the role of an intellectual in social movements and, of course, political organizations. So I think from this one, carrying this one forward, is probably we can also organize how we also meet up in these circles and discuss these ideas, and of course advance that quest, and of course exchange notes, and how we can also organize on how some books also from the organic intellectuals can reach you, and then they can be the foundation for debate. And I think that is a part, will also be a symbol of solidarity. And of course, the second question is that we are coming from, most of us are coming from traditions of hopelessness and oppression, being, at the site of it. And, of course, through social practice, as Minoo has said, the conditions interacting with the daily reality of, of course, congestion, exposed to all kinds of threats and, insecurities from state violence. And, from that history of oppression, the conditions agitate you. And, now you develop a consciousness from your interaction with the realities. And then after developing the consciousness and that urge to take action, have also made many of us. And I think apart from that, in addition, is that we have been, we have been yearning to educate ourselves daily, from the conditions and from experiences of other people. And that way, we build our, we build ourselves and being. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Does anyone else in Kenya want to respond to Lois's question, or should we move on to another question?
Yes. Allow me to also add on the question of how I personally got myself in the social justice movement. First of all, from one of the informal settlements that I was talking about, from Dandora. And here in Dandora, when I was growing up, there were so many cases of extrajudicial executions and arbitrary arrest. And I've been a victim of arbitrary arrest. And most of my friends, some of my peers whom we've grown up with are actually have succumbed to extrajudicial execution. So growing up in that state where police and the youths could not meet in one area was actually another thing that inspired me to join the movement when I got to hear of the movement in 2019. And growing up in such an area, so many youths have been killed, and justice have not been served to them. My friends have been killed. I have friends who are also who have dreadlocks. For example, Tafari is one of those victims who have suffered mostly because of his own dreadlocks. So keeping up with this kind of a society where police and the youths were a very different, did not have that kind of mutual relationship where we could sit down and talk to the police on our issues. Because whenever we did that, the next day there could be an ambush, or there could be something that could be done overly to the society, to the community of Dandora, and most of the youth could be arrested and taken to the police station, charged maliciously, maybe charged with something that you are not found with, or charged with something that they knew when they took you to the court, you could not escape it. So growing up in this kind of a society, when I came across, I definitely liked it, and it is to try and get deeply into it so that I could speak of my own struggles, so that the struggles of my youth who fallen most of my peers, my neighbors in my society, there were some questions that could not be answered. There are some questions that did not have answers to. So the social justice movement provided that platform where voices could be heard, and we could now use different forms of theater, of art now, and that is how now this traveling theater came to be, and we now took it up upon ourselves to use our various experiences in now trying to fight this. We've been seeing happening in our society. So that's my inspiration to join the social justice movement, and also to start now to bring up the social justice traveling theater and the art for social change in general. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I also wanted, there's a question at the chat box that asks what makes you fearless. The thing is, coming from these informal settlements, you've faced it all. So at this point, you have nothing to lose but your fear. I think that is a slogan that we use. We have nothing to lose but our fear. Otherwise, if we do not do this, we will just keep getting into more oppression and all that. And I think most of you saw the current protests that happened in Nairobi, that many were killed, abducted, tear gassed, arrested, and all that. And there were many people on the streets because people are tired. There's nothing anymore. So people are tired. That is what makes us fearless.
Thank you.
Sissy House, you have your hand up.
Hi, everyone. I'm Karen from Sissy House. I know Minoo, I know Njeri, I've met. But comrades, I don't have a question. I actually have a comment, and it's around, because at Sissy House, we use art and we use storytelling to advocate for housing justice and land justice. But I'm very intrigued and I'm in awe with the organizing and how you've been organizing around the issue of teenage pregnancy or young moms. And because in our communities here in Cape Town, we do have these issues with our youth or our young women. And it's so encouraging to hear that in other parts of the continent or the region that there are people who are doing the work and conscientizing people about it, and also sort of building movement around it. In Cape Town, there isn't that kind of movement around influencing or advocating around these issues with regard to teenage pregnancy and so forth. And I just want to know, how do you get to different, because people in Cape Town, South Africa, we're living in quite a diverse city. And people have different cultures, and people of different race and different religion and tradition. And so I don't know whether that's the case in Kenya, whether there are many different cultures and religions and races. But what I do want to know is, how do you reach people of different race, culture, and tradition, and even language?
So in Kenya, we also have people with different cultures. For example, the Somali, who give their girls out to get married at the age of 10 years, 9 to 17 years. So we also have cultures which still do these actions of female genital mutilations. So through our advocacy and more creation of awareness in the community, we find we are able to convince people of how and what is to be done. So you find that we mostly do community dialogues, of which we engage people from different cultures, people from different backgrounds, whereby they come and we have critical issues on our girls, on our women, what is to be done, because now we are not living in the old days era. We are in a new day era, whereby, if, for example, if you give a girl out at the age of 9 years to get married, you find that you've messed with the whole. You give out a girl of 9 years to get married to a 64-year-old man. You find that the whole future of that girl will be messed up. So through more advocacy, through community dialogues, we engage different communities, different cultural, different people with different cultural norms, and we try to convince them on what is to be done, on how we have to live with our women, and through that we've been able to convince more people. You find that now, like the Somali people, the Somali culture or the Muslim culture, most of them do not give their girls out at this era. You find that most of them are now convinced that a girl is supposed to be taken to school, a girl is supposed to be educated. Because back then, women's role were believed to be in the kitchen, to take care of the family, and back then, women were not prioritized to attend schools. But you find through more advocacy, through more dialogues with different stakeholders in the community, and also we've been able to engage in policy making. We find that whereby policies, if the policies that are not, if the policies made are not suiting us as women, we have the ability to challenge the policies through writing petitions and through and also through going to we also go to demonstrations. So through that, we find that we've had a different community as per now. That's all we do, mainly.
All right.
Thank you so much. Once again, let's give Creating the Power of the Streets of Nairobi, Minoo, Anthony, Njeri, Winnie, and Brian a big round of applause. Safari also.
Social Justice Center, hooray.